Hello all. Today I'm dealing with we have already covered the basic concepts of time value of money, future value and present value. Let me now take you towards the application of these concepts in our day-to-day life, and let us see where and how the problems related to this, that is sums related to this, can be solved. First sum: if a person invests rupees 15,000 at the rate of 6% for 3 years, we are required to calculate its maturity value. Now, when maturity value is being asked to calculate, it means we need to calculate its future value. There are three different independent cases given when the compounding is happening annually, when it is compounded semi-annually, and it is compounded quarterly. Let us look at each of the cases individually. So the formula that we will use now is, it is very evident that it is future value of single cash flows. The cash flow, that is investment, is happening only once and it will be redeemed at maturity period. So this is the formula that we will use. In this case, my present value is the amount that I'm depositing, 15,000. Rate of return R is 6%. N, that is period for which I'll keep my investment, 3 years. And you also have M, that is frequency at which it is getting compounded within a year. So it is 1. If you substitute this in the formula, here you will get an answer of 17,865. Now, the second part, that is compounding, is happening semi-annually. If we remember, whenever the compounding takes place semi-annually, it means within a year it takes place twice. It means in a span of 3 years, the compounding will take place 6 times. Now, let us have a look at what happens to the formula. The same formula will be used. The present value does not change. Amount deposited is still 15,000. Now, this rate of interest is for 1 year. I need to make it for a semi-annual basis, that is for 6 months. And hence, the frequency of compounding, this is very important. Frequency of compounding is twice in a year, and hence my interest rate is divided by 2. And if, as I told, in a span of 1 year, compounding happens twice. So in a span of 3 years, it will happen 6 times. So basically, it is 3 years into twice per year, that is M. If you substitute that, you will get a value of 17,910. Now, if you see, as the number of compounding increases, the interest or the maturity value of your amount also increases. Now now I think it would be clear of what we will do in the case of when compounding happens quarterly. So what all will change? Here M will change, and again here M will change. Let us have a look at it. So again 15,000, but now the annual interest rate will be divided into 4 parts, because in a year there are 4 quarters. And 3 years, if in 1 year the compounding is happening 4 times, then in 3 years the compounding will happen 12 times. So this will be 1 plus 0.015, that is 1.015 raised to 12. If you see, when the compounding happens quarterly, the value of this amount will be higher as compared to when it happens semi-annually and when it compares to. So as the compounding increases, your value of maturity will also increase. Rita decides to put 6,000 rupees in a money market fund that pays interest at an annual rate of 8.4. Compounding takes place monthly. She plans to take money out after 1 year. Find the total amount available to her after 1 year. Now, if you see this particular sum, again they are asking us value after 1 year. It means it's future value. So the formula that we will use is future values formula, that is same as the previous slide. So here the face value, or sorry, the present value of the money is 6,000. Then your rate of interest is 0.84. Now this is for 1 year. This I need to divide by 12. How I came to know it is 1 year? It is interest rate, annual rate of interest is 8.4. It means for 1 year, interest rate is 8.4. I divide it by 12. Why I divide it by 12? So that this gets converted into monthly interest rate, and it is kept for 1 whole year. 12 months means 1 year. So my n becomes 1 into, I have multiplied 12 times, because compounding will take place in a year. It will take place for 12 number of times. If you solve this particular thing, you will get this answer. Now in all these cases, you need to first solve this round bracket. So it will be 1 plus 1.007 raised to 12. It will be that into 6,000. If you do, you will get this particular value. So the difference between this sum and the previous sum is, here the compounding is taking place monthly, and in the previous one it was either semi-annually or quarterly. Ritu has deposited rupees 18,000 in a money market instrument. The account compounds interest monthly. So the compounding is taking place monthly. And the present value of investment that she is doing is 18,000. Ritu expects the interest rate to remain at 8% per annum. This is R. Ritu wants to hold investment for a period of only 9 months. Find out the total amount in her account after 9 months. Now this again, since they are asking us maturity value, it's a sum of future value calculation. Here, see, the interest rate is given for 1 year. But the holding period is not 1 year, but it is less than 1 year. It is only 9 months. So we all know the formula that we will use is this. Now I'm assuming n to be 1. Even if it is not 1, if the value is 1, whatever I multiply, the answer will come same. Now you substitute your present value, plus 1 plus 0.8, divide by 12. Now why it is dividing by 12? Because the interest is calculated on a monthly basis. So when I divide 0.08 by 12, I'll get my monthly interest. So converting interest into monthly rate is sorted. Now the next part, here 1 I have taken just because it will give me the same value of multiplication, and it is anyway less than 1 year, into how many times the compounding will take place. Compounding will take place for a period of 9 months. So I will multiply it with 9. So I will multiply it with 9. And once you do that, you will get a value of 19,109. Okay. So this is a sum where the holding period of the instrument is 9 months and not 1 year. So say for example, if we say that the holding period for this investment would have been 18 months, or say 32 months, or something like that, then in that particular case we would have substituted the same value here. Now you will not change this 12. It will not become 32 or 33. Why? Because the compounding is taking place monthly. We divide this only by 12, or by whatever rate the compounding takes place. But this, how many times the compounding is taking place? So if it is say 18 months, the compounding is happening 18 times. So I need to change my my m every time. See, this would have been 27 months. I would have substituted, instead of 9, 27. But this 12 would have remained same as it is, because the compounding is taking place on a monthly basis. I hope this is clear to you all. Moving to the next sum. Now, suppose Kumar deposits rupees 6,300 at the end of each year in an account that pays 6% per annum, compounded annually. Find out total amount in his account at the end of 5 years. He is depositing 6,300 at the end of each year, and he will be doing this for the next 5 years, and we want to know after maturity what will be the value that is accumulated in his account. Again, this is a future value sum, but since here the deposit is taking place at the end of each year, what will happen is 6,300 will go in the form of recurring deposits, and because it is going on continuously, the formula that we will use is the annuity formula, that is this formula. Now, as we know, A in this case is the amount that we are depositing at the uh, present value. That is in this case 6,300. R is the rate of return, which is 6%. N is 5 years because our holding period is 5 years, and that is again the rate of interest, that is 6%. If we substitute this, what we will get is, if you do 1 plus 0, this is 1.06 raised to 5, if you do, you will get a value of 1.3382 minus 1 you do. So your brace bracket thing will be done. So you'll get 0.3382 into 6,300 you do, and then you finally divide it by 0.606. So you will get the value of 35,530. This is to find out the value of annuity. Now, since it is mentioned at the end of each year, I have simply used formula of normal annuity or ordinary annuity. Moving to the next sum. Suppose Kavita deposits rupees 3,500 at the beginning of each year in an account that pays 6% annually, and it is compounded also annually. Find out the total amount in this account at the end of 10 years. So now, again, since the deposits are being made in the beginning of the year, that is now, what we will do is we will try and use annuity due formula. Why? Because it is beginning of the year. So the formula that we will use is this new 1 plus r factor will get added to our formula. So the method of solving remains same. First, we will open up the round brackets, then the brace brackets, square bracket, and again then the round bracket. So 1 plus 0.06, now it will be raised to 10. When it is raised to 10, the value becomes 1.7908 minus 1 into 3,500 divided by this. If you do all these things, the whole thing should be multiplied with 1.06. You get 48,975 rupees. Now let us see, it is not always necessary that in an annuity the compounding takes place annually only. Sometimes the compounding can also take place on a monthly basis, quarterly basis, or any of the semi-annual basis. So I've taken an example where the annuity is due and the compounding takes place on a monthly basis. Let us look at the sum. Suppose Kashvi deposited 6,700 at the end of each year, in an account that pays, so 6,700 at the beginning of each month in an account that pays 6% annual interest, and it is getting compounded annually. She is paying at the beginning of each of the month and it is getting compounded annually. Find the total amount at the end of 25 months. The formula that we will use is this. It's not a this thing. So the amount that she is investing is 6,700. Rate of interest is this for 1 year. Now n I have taken 1, even if it is 2 point some months, but still I have taken it as 1. And the holding period, m is the rate of compounding within a year, so it is 12 times it is getting compounded, but the holding period is 25 months. Now let us carefully look at what all changes in formula. This will remain same, the amount that you are investing, that will remain same. 1 plus 0.06, now this factor will get divided by 12, that is 0.06 is for 1 year. Since compounding is taking place monthly, I need to divide it by 12 to get the monthly interest rate. So this I have done. Now she keeps it for 25 months, and that's why it is raised to 25. Minus 1 is in the formula, hence it is as it is. Now this R is for 1 year, but I need to convert this R into monthly interest rate, and hence I convert this into monthly interest rate by dividing it by 12. Same thing when you're multiplying with the rate of return here is again for 1 month, and hence it is 1 plus 0.06 divided by R. If you solve this, this factor will become 1.005 raised to 25. If you do raised to 25, you will get 1.1328. Minus 1 divided by 0.05, and this if you solve it like this, you will get 1,78,860 36 rupees is what you will have at the end of maturity period in this particular account. I hope this is clear why I have why I have raised to the power 25, and why everywhere the rate of return has been divided by 12. That is because the compounding takes place on a monthly basis. So in annuity sums also these kind of deviations can come. Next sum. One formula that we learned during our future value video was effective rate of return. Now, as I said, effective rate of return, if you remember, is the effect of compounding on the interest rate which is stated in your security deposits. So even if I say 16%, if the compounding happens more frequently, the actual rate of return that you will get will be more than that. So the formula that we will use for calculating this is an investment offers 16% nominal interest rate with quarterly compounding. What is the effective interest rate for the said investment? The formula for that is here. M again is, now in this case, the frequency with which it is compounding is 4 times in a year. So M becomes 4. R is 16. So let us substitute and get our value. If you solve this equation, you will get approximately 16.99, which can be considered as 0.17, or you can call it as 17%. So my effective rate of return would be 17%. These were various sums related to future value that we have discussed in the previous videos also, and now we have seen how to solve various sums. Now let me move towards the time value of money part 2 of the sums. Now these sums will be related to the present value of the equity, single cash flows, etc. So let us have a look at these sums. So what is the present value of rupees 10,000 receivable after 6 years if the rate of interest is 10%? They are saying that we will receive 10,000 rupees after 6 years. And if the rate of return is 10%, then what will be its present value? The basic formula that we will use is, this will be discounting factor. See, the same thing, I can also write it as 10,000 into 1 divided by 1.10. That is 1 plus rate of interest raised to 6. So what we are doing is 1 divided by 1.10 raised to 6 we are doing. Now on your calculator, how you can do this is, you just have to 1 divided by 1.10. If you do this, just press once equal to. If you keep pressing equal to, now in this case, we will have to do it 6 times. So you've already pressed once equal to, then 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. If you do, you will get the value of 0.54, 0.5644. 0.5644 into 10,000 will give you this particular value. So that's how you will solve it. Again, I repeat, this factor you can find out by dividing 1 divided by 1.10, and since it is raised to 6, you just keep pressing equal to on your calculator, you will get the value. You will have to press it 6 times. Moving towards the next term. Now, sometimes it can happen that the cash flows are only for 1 year, but they are not consistent. That is, there are multiple cash flows of different amount and different duration. So what we do? Now, this is the present, what is the present value of cash flow if the discounting rate is 12%? So the rate of interest is given to you. The future value, that is from today after 1 year, the value that I will receive is 10,000. In the second year, I may receive 11,000. Then third year is 13,000. Now the question is asking you to convert this 10,000 into present value, this 11,000 into present value, this 13,000 into present value. Now if you ask me what we have to do in this sum, it is very simple, but let me explain you clearly. Now you might be wondering from where these factors have come. These factors have been derived using this particular formula itself. Let us have a look at how. So this is, when I say it is after 1 year, it means it is 1 divided by 1 plus r raised to 1. If I do this 1 divided by 1.12, if I do it once, I will get approximately 0.89. 0.8928 something something. I have taken only till 2 decimal points. Now, in the second year, it is 1 divided by 1.012. That is 1.12 raised to 2, because the formula is 1 upon 1 plus r raised to n. This is the second year and hence it is raised to 2. Now when you say it is raised to 2, can I say it is 1 divided by 1.12 into 1.12? That is twice. So if you do that, you will get 0.7971, which I have converted into 2 decimal points and made round it off to 0.8. If you do 3 times, it will be 1 divided by 1.12 into 1.12 into 1.12. So the value that you will derive is 0.7117. Again, 2 decimal points is 71. Like this, for all the years, they have already calculated the value. It means After 5 years, rupee 1, present value of that rupee 1 is 0.57. After 4 years, if it is rupee 1, its current value is 0.64. That is what this particular table means. So, how do we do the sum? So it is 10,000 into 0.89. If I'm saying 1 rupee after 1 year, its today's worth is 0.89. So 10,000 rupees is how much? You simply multiply these factors and you will get the present value. So after 5 years, which is 18,000 rupees, its today's value, that is present value, is 10,260. We have simply multiplied these two factors. Next, let us move to the next part. Ravi deposits rupees 2 lakh in a bank account which pays 10% interest. How much can he withdraw annually for a period of 15 years? So today Ravi is depositing 2 lakh rupees which will be invested at 10%, and he wants to know how much can he withdraw annually. Since the question is silent, we will assume that it is a ordinary annuity sum. The formula for ordinary annuity is this. Now, the catch in this sum is the present value is given, that is present value of annuity is given to us, that is how much he is investing. We want to know how much can he withdraw, so we need to know this PMT factor in this particular sum. So we don't know what is PMT, but we know what is interest rate, what is the maturity, what is the frequency, it is getting compounded annually, and the amount that he has invested. So if you say 2 lakh rupees, I have taken PMT to be X. 1 minus, now these factors are very important. What you're doing is 1 divided by 1 point R you have substituted, which is 10%, and divided by again R. Just divide this 15 times. Now, as I said, what you will do is you will take on your calculator 1 divided by 1.10. Now press equal to sign for 15 times. Do that, you will get a value of 0.2394. You subtract it, you will get your factor. If you divide this factor by 0.10, you get 7.606. Now we will have to adjust the equation because we need to find out X. So we take this fact, X is equal to this factor which comes as this value divided by 2 lakh. So Ravi can withdraw 26,295 rupees from his account. Suppose you take a loan of rupees 10 lakh at an interest of 15% per annum, and the loan is to be repaid in 5 equal installments payable at the end of each year. Since the word end is being used, we will calculate present value of normal annuity for the next 5 years. What will be the annual installment payment amount? Now, that is what they are they want to find out. So Now in this sum, it is as good as we are trying to calculate what will be the EMI for this loan. Okay, how much EMI I have to pay for a period of 5 years if I have to repay this particular amount with interest. So the formula that we will use is same, ordinary annuity formula. Now in this case, the rate of interest will become, again we need to find out the PMT. Now we already have what will be the present value of the loan, how much loan is he taking. We need to find out what will be his annuity amounts. So that is there. Again, if you solve this, you will get 0.4972. If you solve this, you will get a factor of 3.352. Again, to find out x, we take this factor on the other side and we get the value. So it means you need to pay 2 lakh, I mean, he need to pay 2,98,312 rupees per year for the next 5 years to repay principal plus interest amount of, interest plus the principal amount. We move towards present value of perpetuity. Perpetuity is an annuity without any time limit on it. So it is basically till infinity. Ruchi wants to know how much should she invest so that she is able to receive rupees 15,000 per year till she lives. Now, as we know, Ruchi will not know how many years she will live. She may live for 10, 15, 20, any number of years, but she wants to know how much she should receive, how much she should invest so that she is able to get 15,000 per year. The rate of investment that she expects is 7.5. So the formula that we will use is PMT, that is her annuity to be received divided by R. In this case, annuity that she wants to receive is 15,000. So that we have included. R is 0.075 and N is infinity. We don't know how much is the N. So if you divide by these, you will get rupees 2 lakh. So 2 lakh every year if it is invested, 2 lakh rupees which is invested with bank, at the end of every year it will fetch her rupees 15,000 at the rate of 7.5. One last part is left, which is perpetuity with growth. Sachin wants to know how much money should he invest now so that he is able to receive 16,000 rupees per year till he lives. He also wants that this amount should increase a minimum by 5% per year if the rate of interest on investment is 8%. So one thing is, uh, I mean, correct in this sum is that growth rate is less than the rate of return that he is expecting, which should be the case. Otherwise, you can't go ahead with sum. The formula that we use is, this is the future value. He wants 16,000, so that will come. R, which is rate of interest, and G, which is the growth. When you substitute, it gets, if we invest 5 lakh 33,333 rupees, approximately at the end of every year, he will get 16,000 with a growth of 5% to it. For this particular, preparing this particular video and presentation, I have used Prasanna Chandra reference book, which is 7th edition. Few changes here and there of name or of amount has been done. Thank you. If you have found this lecture useful, kindly subscribe to my YouTube channel and press the bell icon to receive latest updates.